Morning, welcome back to Cliff Harvey RC Planes. I'm continuing with the Guillow's Chipmunk build, and I'm going to start by showing you what I've done so far. That's fuselage, quite nice, seems ridiculously light, so hopefully that will continue. And I'm just about to cut out the cowling for the motor, because obviously I'm putting in a electric motor. So there we go, beautiful. I have to make a bigger hole in F1 to get the cog through, and maybe shave slightly the orange mounting for the motor. Yes, I'm just thinking here, the plastic wants to go past F1, but if I do that, I've actually got to destroy the top of F1. I could make it up with a piece of bent sheet, you know, something curved over the top. I think the easiest way to open that up will be with the Dremel, and then at the bottom it's going to go through a little bit. Well, I can't go any further forward than that because the plastic's on the back of F1 at there, so it should be enough. So far so good. Nice, it's looking good, guys, looking nice. And I've got to work out what I'm going to use as engine bearers. Won't have to be too heavy. I'm thinking just a bit of 3/16 square, really. Right, that's one side in. I'll let that set off, and then I'll come back and glue the other one in. And I'll probably put a little bit of wood across the two to make sure it's exactly level. Now I've made a little bit of progress, which I'll show you by way of a couple of photographs I took en route. Easier to take a photograph and trying to show you in the video. I've mounted the motor on a couple of soft balsa wood rails, and mounted the. Now I've got a servo board, but one of the servos was knackered, and I removed it a long time ago. But the other servo is pretty good. So I've plugged in a single servo as well. I know it adds a slight amount of weight, only by way of the board really, but I've added that in and plugged it in and mixed it in on the transmitter, so I've ended up with what looks like quite a complicated installation, but it's not really. It's just one servo board on top of the other servo board, mounted on a couple of little cross rails, some little screws. The little screws, incidentally, that hold the top servo in place are just from broken pairs of glasses. They're just the right size. So now, and I've also decided I'm going to put everything in. I'm going to make a top hatch to go on the plane. I've put the stringers back in on the bottom because obviously I'm not accessing it from the bottom anymore. So I'm going to make a top hatch. Now the top hatch is going to be very similar to this top hatch, which I took off my Banggood Tiger Moth. It's just a light ply covered with balsa bent around. So I'm going to make something similar just to go on there, and that's the stage I'm at to now. So if I just bend you down a little bit, put some sunshine on. Now, oh, that is bright, isn't it? So put something over that. So I've cut one piece of wood out. Well, as you can see, I've had to make a false. The cockpit comes up to here, so I've made this little former C forward slightly, still gives me plenty of access if I need to. I've also, I don't know if you can see out in the video, I've put the 2 push rods in. I've put the 2 push rods in, and they're just sticking out the back for the minute. Got to be careful I don't prick myself, I should say. But they're just 0.5mm wire, piano wire. Okay. Refocus. I'm getting the hang of the focus now. It's good, isn't it? So I've got this here. This piece of wood is going to form the back of the hatch, but I'm going to have to take it down. I'm going to use something like some thin balsa, maybe 1/32. So I've got to decide on the size, because of course I'm going to I need to reduce these in height by that amount. So let's just have a look at the balsa, see what I've got. So I know I'm going to go for 32, so all I've got to do is to remove 1/32 of wood. I might remake this front one actually, because it's got so many notches in it, it's not worth keeping it as it is. May as well remake it. That piece of wood's just wide enough, I think. There is something worth mentioning. The gears on these little servos are so easily contaminated. If you get glue in it, you've had it. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pop a piece of tissue over it to keep it clean, keep the dirt out, dust, dirt, anything else that's flying about, just like that. Another little tip for you is to keep everything until you've finished. So I kept this because I can now make formers drawing it directly around these parts, which I've done on the new FC. So always keep everything till you're finished. It's pretty good. You can see my line I put on there, it's about a 32 below the notches. If you can see that. So now all I have to do is just take a little bit out of the corner there, make it uniform. If I put a piece of 16th down through the middle, that will help support the centre line, and I'll put a little notch in the back there. I can actually have a piece of balsa running down the nose to support the inside of the hatch. Would there be any benefit to having one there as well, and there? Can't hurt, can it? Won't be one at the bottom, but will there? Maybe I could put one in. It's got to be back a 32nd. Be something to glue to, wouldn't it? Let's do that, shall we? See how it comes out. So let's cut one to size and see what we've got. Yeah, it can stick out the front actually. We'll put the side ones in first. That will hold the rear former into position roughly. Should work. Okay, where's a start? Let's do the next one. Okay, in she goes. Press it down. Okay, that's not too bad, is it? What I'm going to have to do now is to soak this in water, make it nice and wet, and then that will go round a treat. So there we are, coming along. That's the nose done. Coming along anyway. It's starting to cut through the former. I'm going cross grain on that former, so it's going to take a little bit of gentle going through. Okay, here we go. Yeah. bit of scrap there. Okay guys, there it is in its pretty delicate state. Okay, so I'm going to go and soak this bit of balsa wood, and when I come back it should be good enough. It should be good enough to start bending around the structure and cutting and shaping a little bit. Last thing I want to do is to snap it. Okay, so it's had a bit of soaking. It's brought the grain up a bit, but it seems to want to naturally curve this way, so let's see. There'll be quite a tight curve down the bottom end, a little bit bigger at the top. My technique is not to glue it on wet, but to band it on wet, let it dry, and then take it off, and then you can work on it as a dry piece of balsa and wrap it around where it basically needs to go. Take care of the front bit. So we go down to the back bit, and it won't take that long to dry. Okay, so that's how it's going to dry, and I'll come back to it later on. Okay, so what have we got here? Take off these little bits. Didn't split, thankfully. So now we got a nice dry angled, etc. So what I've got to do is to put that on there and mark it. Well, first of all, I've got to get the back lining up, so as long as that's, can always sand a little bit off when the time comes. So we'll do the same on this side, from there, and put in the blade on the inside again. Okay, so it's looking good. Pop that back on there again. Do a trial fit. So we've got to cut the length, of course. Quite nice, isn't it? Once this skin's on, I'll probably end up taking a bit of this former out to make room for the battery. We'll see how we get on. Quite happy with that. So let's put a bit more on the next piece. What I'm aiming to do is to get it to curl around and not, I don't want a hump in the middle, so I've got to keep pressing it down so as it's all the way around as far as it'll go. No point in having a hump. Let's offer it up, see what you think. I'm curious to see how the, I know it's early days, I've got to sand it yet, but just see how the cowling fits over the front. It's not going to work, is it? Not enough clearance. Cut it, couldn't I? Then it can just sit straight down. No idea, guys. A little bit wants to come off around the back as well by the look of it, because that would solve the problem of it not quite not being able to put it down and in. And a reasonable amount of CA on the what's going to become the inside. This bit's going to be reaffixed, reattached to the fuselage. Run some aliphatic in. The glue has dried, so I can pull out these bits of paper I put in I'll cut through them and we'll see what it looks like. Right, nearly through. I would like to break the surface of the wood from this side before I get too far. There we go. Beautiful. I can stick that on and probably put some slices of cardboard between it. So I can always, yeah, one will do. I can always sand a little bit off if I need to, off of the hatch. Okay, put the hatch back on, put that on there. Just a bit of spacer in there. The spacer, of course, will guarantee that at least there'll be a gap of some sort. I'll leave it in place for a minute until that dries. I'm quite happy with that. You happy with that? I'm happy with that. And at least now with that bit fixed on, I can glue the cowl straight on to wood. There you go. Nice. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make a comment. I love the comments. I always answer comments. It's just nice to know someone's watching the videos. So yeah, thanks again guys, and hit the little like button as well. That helps with the old analytics. And I'll see you in the next part, which will probably be part 4. So it'll be building the tail feathers. Yeah, it's looking really nice. So thanks for looking in. See you next time.